Hello, ladies and gentlemen, whether you're watching on YouTube or Twitch. Regardless, welcome aboard to episode
Hello, ladies
61.
and gentlemen, watching
Good
whether you're
lord.
watching YouTube or
61
Twitch.
episodes. What have
Welcome
we been
aboard.
doing with our lives? But, yeah, episode 61, and of course, the typical two-man crew, myself and Ricky are here, but as you can tell, we have a very special guest. For the second time in the history of the show, we have a musician guest. Please welcome to the show, the one, the only, the mastermind behind Hellripper, James McBain. How are you, buddy?
Thank you very much for the kind introduction. I'm doing very well, thank you very much.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured once we started talking on Instagram and Ricky and the gang, sorry for the rest of the guys that couldn't be here, Hannah, Arthur, Pixie, or Raphael.
Raphael.
They're all busy, but hey, Ricky and I were the backup plan for everything. So
I hope we get everybody by Christmas. That's like the one thing.
Especially for the Black Sabbath episode we got planned eventually, because good lord, that's going to be challenging. But
oh god, don't remind me of that already.
But that's a future episode, hopefully in a couple weeks. But for now, we got Mr. McBain on board. And yeah, and like I was saying, once we started talking, becoming friends over on Instagram, I was like, I've got to get him on my show at some point, especially since we had DK on here last year, and that was a blast. And I'm like, and we're like, well, we do want to expand the show to be more than just debating top 10 lists or discussions of topics within metal. We want to spread our wings a little bit. So, and actually, a quick announcement is either in the next episode or after the Sabbath episode, we got
maybe
somewhere in between. We got Gunnar Gunderson, the bassist from Norwegian death metal band Blood Red Throne, to be a guest, since I've become buddies with him now. So I don't know how I do it, but I do it for you guys.
Next thing you know, we're gonna have Dan Swan on the show. He dead.
Oh yeah, I would. Oh my god, I can't even speak now. Damn it, Ricky, you did it again. Alright, but enough gawking. Let's get to some fun chats with Mr. McBain. So, the first question I want to ask you is actually the same question we asked DK last year, because I always, whenever I'm getting to know other metalheads or talking to other people within the metal world, how they got into music at first and then into metal, because everybody's story is always really, really different, and it's always fascinating. So I always want to know, what got you, who or how did you get into music at first and then eventually find your way into the world of metal?
Yeah, so music, I think it was just kind of hearing like my parents listen to like just whatever they were listening to around the house, and like flipping through the music channels on TV. I'm not sure if you had what it was like in the US and things, but in the UK we had like a few channels like Kerrang, Scuzz, things like that, which would play your kind of anything kind of mainstream at the time, if you could say. So like you would get Slipknot, System of a Down,
Yes.
and loads of like Sum 41, Linkin Park, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, when I was a kid, I used to just kind of randomly flip through the music channels, and yeah, kind of I liked kind of any sort of music, and I gravitated towards rock and metal, like even as a kid. But yeah, when I kind of discovered a lot of metal stuff when I was going through my uncle's LP collection, which was at my grandma's house, and I can't remember how old I was, but yeah, I was just looking through just to see what there was. And there was stuff like Judas Priest, Ozzy, Dio, Sabbath, Discharge, Motorhead.
Yes.
Yeah, and a lot of like obscure kind of UK punk LPs. I can't recall can't remember what they were now, but yeah. So I kind of gradually got into heavier stuff over the years, and yeah, just I was always looking to discover new music. So yeah, it started off kind of exploring the mainstream kind of stuff that was easy to access, I guess, like stuff that was on the TV. Things that would be on like chat shows and things, or Top of the Pops, stuff like that. Just TV
Yeah.
shows that would show like what was in the charts and things at the moment. And I was always interested in music, and yeah, like I said, I always like preferred the heavier kind of stuff. And yeah, my dad was into kind of the old school rock, like AC/DC, the Eagles, and
Oh,
Dire
yeah.
Straits,
Mhm.
the Police, like any kind of that stuff. So yeah, and just when I was kind of getting into metal and at an age where I could like really research and stuff, the internet was kind of becoming a thing, I guess,
Yes.
with YouTube and all that kind of stuff. So I could just click on a video of, say, I don't know where you would start, just like Metallica or something, and then on the related videos you would just get like
Yeah.
Megadeth, Slayer, Cannibal Corpse, or just anything would come up. And as I was getting into more, I guess when I was a teenager, probably around 13 to 15, I can't remember, I was that was around the same time as kind of the thrash revival and the new wave of traditional heavy metal or whatever. It was around.
Yeah.
So you could go on YouTube and you could just find all these bands like Enforcer, Skullfist, Warbringer, Municipal Waste, Gamma Bomb, Toxic Holocaust, whatever. Like they would just be on the side, so you could just like spend hours and hours just discovering new bands and things. So yeah, that's basically, yeah, and I still do that now. Just
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, your story kind of reminds me a bit of my story, how I started into metal, of course, with my uncle walking into his room and him blasting Hell's Bells on full volume. That got me into that. And during my high school years, that's when I started getting more into the heavier side of metal bands like Behemoth, Venom, Death. I mean, for Hellripper to be a very intense band, there must have been a couple of bands that really, extreme metal bands, sorry, that really shaped the sound of Hellripper. So any bands that help Hellripper become what it is, I mean, I'm pretty sure one of the main bands has to be Venom, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah. So yeah, Venom, Toxic Holocaust, Midnight, Dark Throne, Bathory, just any Megadeth, Metallica, anything kind of in the thrash side of things, or the first wave of black metal to kind of speed metal, thrash metal, anything kind of from there. Motorhead, Tank, Merciful Fate, just
because when I first discovered Hellripper, it reminded me a bit of, and Levi, you might be shocked when I say this, a bit of Destroyer 666.
Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, speed, heavy, fast, which is something good because I like to listen to that kind of stuff when I'm working out. But of course, I mean, Hellripper being from the UK and Aberdeen, Scotland, how was the scene in Aberdeen? I mean, were there any local bands, major bands that, concerts, or how was the scene in Scotland or in Aberdeen in general?
Yeah, because we were actually looking up like other main Scottish bands, and we saw like Ailstorm, of course, being one of the big ones, and even Nazareth back in the day in the 70s. So, but yeah, that was always a curiosity thing. Like, what's the scene like up there in Scotland?
Yeah. So when I was kind of starting Hellripper, I wasn't really too involved with the scene. A few of the venues I was like kind of too young to kind of go to, so I wasn't really as involved with the scene as I would have liked to have been. But at the time, like when I was getting involved, there was a lot of there was a really strong punk scene. Like a lot of underground bands would come up to Aberdeen. A lot of local punk bands, which is still the case. Not so much in Aberdeen at the moment, but yeah, there was a lot of cool bands like overall in Scotland currently at the moment. Probably a couple of the biggest ones would be Bleed From Within, and probably Sewer. Who else? There's King Witch. They're doing cool stuff right now. June, they just got signed to Metal Blade not too long ago and released an album. So there's quite a cool bunch of bands from Scotland.
Yeah,
There is
yeah, yeah.
there is
Because
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, there is a up and coming kind of thrash and death scene as well coming. It's been going for quite a while, but of course, since live shows were put to a stop because of the pandemic, yeah, things kind of slowed down a bit. But there's a lot of bands right now: Brain Bath, Coffin Mulch, Disposable, Tommy Concrete. Yeah, apologies if I've missed anyone out just on the spot, but yeah, there's quite a vibrant kind of underground scene coming from.
Yeah, because usually you don't hear a lot of metal musicians or a lot of metal fans talk about Scotland being this super juggernaut of metal. Usually that honor goes to Ireland, which Ireland has more metal bands, but Scotland, I mean, I've seen pictures of Aberdeen. It seems like a beautiful place to live to, nice weather, beautiful landscapes.
Not the best.
Not the best weather.
I mean, hey, it's better weather than I have in Texas. I'll tell you that. But
Or here in Ohio.
Yeah, but did Aberdeen or your environment help shape Hellripper in a way? Because we've known bands that their environment shapes who the band sounds. Kind of like with Priest and Sabbath. The early bands being in the machinery, the factories, the sound of the factories, the pump, pump, pump. Shaping that sound of this. Did Aberdeen did that to you, or did you ever have something in mind for Hellripper, or even your or other projects like trying to remember Lorrod, Lorrod.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of shaped what Hellripper became because of I couldn't really find many musicians that were into a similar style of music as me. Especially since I was younger and wasn't as involved in the scene, so I didn't really know many people. So that kind of shaped Hellripper becoming a solo project. So in that way, yes. I'm not too sure about the environmental kind of thing affecting the music or how I do things. Maybe it did, like subconsciously or whatever, but it's not really a thing that I think about. Especially, I mean, it does apply to, like, I guess, bands like black metal bands and stuff who kind of want to draw influence from like the forests and all that kind of stuff. But
especially the Scandinavian stuff.
Yeah, but when you're playing like kind of thrash, kind of just fun, kind of thrash speed metal, there's not really much you can do with that. However, having said that, since I'm no longer in Aberdeen for the past while, I've moved up to the Highlands, and that's kind of, I guess that's kind of influenced how I'm doing the next album, which is going to be a sort of concept album where all the songs are based on Scottish history, Scottish folklore, and Scottish things. So I guess moving up to the Highlands has kind of made me think more, influenced me more in that respect. It's quite difficult to incorporate like that kind of thing into a fun speed metal. head. So yeah.
Yeah, not all bands can do that very well, but there's some exceptions.
Yeah, that reminds me of like being inspired by the environment around you. That also reminds me of the story of the band Panopticon, because
Oh, yeah.
Austin, the man behind Panopticon, doing an album called Kentucky, and then now he's up in Minnesota. Now he's inspired by the winter weather up in there for his recent stuff, which I do need to check out the new Panopticon album, because I know Hannah, one of the hosts, who's like the token black metal fan out of all of us here, has been wanting me to get more into Panopticon since they're fairly close to me, because Kentucky just one state south of me. But there's just so much out there, and also I work all the time, so it's really tough for me. But that kind of segues into talking about the recent album, The Affair of the Poisons, which I picked this up a few weeks ago and blew my mind. And it's like, had I heard this when it came out last year, no doubt this would have been in like my top 5 for albums of last year. Because, yeah, like Ricky brought up, it definitely reminds me so much of like classic Venom, early Bathory, and perhaps even a little bit of recent Dark Throne when they got a bit more punky. Kind of has that vibe for me. Midnight, of course. I know Ricky's not the biggest fan of the punky Dark Throne stuff, but it is what it is. But yeah, I was absolutely amazed by this album. But and so far, only 2 albums and a couple EPs and a bunch of demos. Now, the big thing that Ricky and we were talking about, because for me it's always fascinating to see one-man projects or people that do their albums by themselves. Like we were talking earlier, Dan Swano was like one of the first ones to really go that route, especially like on his solo album Moon Tower and the Final Edge of Sandy album Crimson 2, where he mostly did everything himself with a little bit of help from some people. But yeah, it always fascinates me how, and like even Varg with Burzum, how he would do everything himself. It always fascinates me how people can learn all these instruments and play everything themselves instead of possibly having to clash with other people's tastes and styles. What Ricky and I wanted to ask you is, when it comes to writing and recording music, like, what do you usually focus on first, guitars or the drums?
Yeah, it's always guitars. When writing, it's always guitars. I come up with a riff or whatever, and then I put the drums to that. Since like guitar is like my natural instrument, what I'm most comfortable with. I mean, so yeah, it always comes from like a guitar riff or a kind of melody or whatever, and then the drums kind of get put to the guitar part. And then when it comes to recording, usually it's drums first. Once the whole song's written, it'll be the drums will be put down first, then the bass, and then the guitars, and then vocals and guitar solos and everything extra. Usually, the vocals take the longest because I'm like really picky and like I do those last. So like once you do the vocals, it's kind of, you can hear like kind of the finished song. So I think I kind of put more attention on that, like when it happens, because I feel like this is the last thing that's going to really happen. And I do so many takes, like trying to do. Just doing the same line over and over again, like for like 50 times, and then eventually just picking the first take. So it's fun. Like it's just fun doing all the stuff, learning how to mix and record and mix. Like that was a goal of mine, and that's kind of what kind of helped with the idea of Hellripper. Like I wanted to write my own songs, and I thought if I record and mix it, it gives me an opportunity to learn while also like being in a band. So kind of 2 things at once, and I just enjoy it. And it's became I much prefer working on my own. it's more satisfying for me. It's more convenient. I can do things at my own pace. I can do things whenever I want. If I want to take a break and not do anything for a year, I can do that.
Yeah.
Without,
Yeah.
Kind of like the
annoying
Dark Throne approach a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And likewise, if I want to release 50 things in 1 year, I can also do that. Like if I want to. So it's kind of everything on my own terms, on my own schedule, on my own. Just doing things how I want and stuff. So it kind of it takes like any sort of not pressure, but like kind of obligation to have to schedule rehearsals every week or book studio time, and all that kind of stuff. So for me, doing things by myself is a lot easier, more convenient, cheaper, and more fun, more just everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I also want to ask you about your vocal delivery. Your vocal delivery is kind of unique in a way that it sounds like a Mitten, sounds like a Venom. Did it took you a while to find the way you want to deliver the music vocally, or did you already have that in mind when starting Hellripper?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to sound like, but obviously I'd never really done vocals before. So I had no idea what I was doing, what I would sound like, what I was going to do, what I was going to be capable of. So the first few recordings of Hellripper and things, like, I really messed up my throat, doing, like, it was...
The
there's
wrong
no real
technique.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I see, like, over the years, I seem to have developed a technique. I don't know what I do, like, it's not... I just seem to have, like, subconsciously developed a way to do it without like hurting myself, but I don't really know how I do it, so it's difficult to explain. But over the years I feel like I've improved. If you listen to the first few Hellripper releases, it's kind of I think it's a bit less powerful or something. Still it still got across what I wanted to do. Like, I think it worked. Over... It's kind of like with the music as well. I think I've tried to expand on everything over the years. So if you listen to the first EP, the first couple of songs on the first release, and compare it to, say, the last album or something, and especially with something from the next album that'll be out, it's like there's a lot more, I guess, different ideas. It's a few more influences, like different kind of influences. So I want to put high screams in or something like that. Like, I want to try and learn how to do that. If I want to, like if you look at the first EP, for example, there's not much like extreme like guitar work, like guitar solos and stuff. There's a few, obviously there's guitar solos, but like if you notice over the years, the guitar solos and the guitar work becomes a bit more kind of technical, I guess you can say, a bit more prominent. Maybe is the better word. Just trying to develop everything, improve constantly, while also retain the... Like, it will always sound like Hellripper. I don't want to go, like, suddenly go and release an album, a doom metal album or something with Hellripper. I want to try and keep the different influences in, different elements of sound. It will always be a black thrash band, black speed band.
Yeah, and now speaking of that, Bastard. We kind of know that Bastard was a big influence on Hellripper. I want to ask you about Bastard. Of course, one of the pioneers of black metal, one of the pioneers of early Viking metal. Do you consider Bastard like your top 5 influences, and if it is, maybe your favorite songs or a moment of Bastard for maybe the first time you listen to Bastard? Because Bastard is one of those bands that, if you ask anybody, it's almost loved by every fan except during the thrash, the mid-90s era.
The Octagon. Yeah, we Yeah, Bathory, they're like one of the 5 bands on this show that I think we've talked about the most. Because, like,
Mhm.
literally everybody on this show, it's like, we always bring up Bathory, Bathory, Bathory. But, yeah, we wanted to ask you, like, favorite Bathory songs or moments or even albums. Because, of course, like, everybody, when it comes to Bathory, they have their different tastes. Like, some people, like, love the black metal stuff. Some people prefer the folkier, Viking, doomy stuff. Then you might have people that might like Octagon, and to each their own, or even the Nordland stuff. Which, for me, I love everything Bathory's done. Maybe not as much Octagon, except for a couple tracks, because I do have a soft spot for that kind of groovy thrash here and there. But I can agree, hearing Korthon do it sounded a bit odd, because we became accustomed to what they were before. But yeah, anything to add on to that?
Yeah, so I don't really know much about Bathory, to be honest. I don't listen to them much. The first album was a massive influence on me, and yeah, one of my favorites. And the 2 tracks on the Scandinavian Metal Attack, I think that was.
Yes, Sacrifice.
Yeah, with Sacrifice, that's the
Yes.
Motorhead sounding version. That's my favorite Bathory stuff.
I told you because of that riff. That riff, man.
Yeah, it's a great riff. And yeah, other than that, I haven't listened to much Bathory, to be honest. I've been over the past couple of months, I've been kind of getting into more Bathory, but yeah, I've never been a massive listener of the stuff. But yeah, I've been over the last couple of months, I've been listening to more Bloodfire Death, Hammerheart, and Twilight of the Gods. So those are the albums that I've been listening to quite a bit over the past couple of months. But yeah, before that, other than the first album, I didn't really listen much, which might come as a surprise to people.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
really get those albums. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, my favorite song, yeah, probably Sacrifice. I mean, it's kind of I guess it's probably their most like popular song as well, but
Yeah, one of them, popular.
Yes. Yeah.
Next to probably a song like maybe Hades or Enter the Eternal Fire from Under the Sign.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to ask you that because we went to your Mentalum page and I'm surprised Bathory was at the very bottom of the list. And I want to...
Which perfectly segues into this question. So, all the time, post-show or before we start streaming or recording the show, we play this game where we go to a band's page on Metallum, go to the similar artists, and we pick a band and try and guess the top 5 on there, because it's always interesting to see, like, this band compared to these guys, and it's like, some of it's accurate, some of it not as much.
Some of them are like, what the fuck?
Like, yes, like, we've ran into a few of those, which, I think one of the big ones for Ricky that I know always gets you when we go to Nile and Behemoth's number 2, and it's like, they're almost 2 separate schools of thought, but yet they do have some similarities in speed, but that's Nile and Behemoth. We're talking Hellripper here. So, we're going to ask you, who do you think on the Hellripper Metallum page would be in the top 5 similar artists to Hellripper?
So, Midnight, definitely.
Yes.
Number one, actually.
Toxic Holocaust.
Number 2.
Who else? Venom.
Number 3.
Number 3. What else we got? See, I would say Dark Throne, but people more associate Dark Throne with the black metal stuff as opposed to the laser punk stuff.
The later.
Dark Throne's actually
now top 20, which is a bit strange.
Yeah. So, who we got? Sabbath from Japan.
Oh, number 8. Number
8,
which is really, really.
I mean, I do see the comparison.
Yeah, like early Sabbath. Yeah, like Devil Worship.
Is it popular, like old school bands, or is it kind of
Um,
bands in
Well,
the scene?
one's American, listed as speed metal, and one's Brazilian, heavy / speed.
So would that be Whip Striker?
Number
yes.
4.
Same.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite bands. Yeah, one American, speed metal American.
Ooh.
I'm drawing a blank right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes.
We
I'll give you a
all-
hint. I'll give you a hint. They're from the good old state of Colorado.
Well, right. Also, would it be Colorado?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too good with locations. I would just know that they were from the US, so Colorado.
Or basically the West.
Yeah, the west side of
That's
US.
not-
And their
gonna help.
last label. Yeah, and their last label was Hell's Headbangers as well.
Hell's Headbangers. Who've Hell's Headbangers had?
Yeah, and I guess they broke up in 2016, unfortunately.
Oh, Speedwolf.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Speedwolf. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
Killer
so
Band. Oh,
yeah.
yeah, they were a big influence as well when I started. Yeah, completely forgot about those guys. One of my favorite albums as well.
Yeah, so when looking at this whole list, like the top 20 itself, yeah, it's like there's some I can definitely absolutely see. Like as far as like the rest of the top 20, you have Bewitcher,
Which are
Wasteland Riders from Spain,
killer band.
of course, the Japan Sabbath, Sodom, one of my
Oh,
favorites,
yes.
Wraith,
Wraith or Raz? Yeah.
Wraith, yeah. Abigail from Japan was up there. Motorhead.
I mean, Motorhead.
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of just being raw and just fun. Of course, Bathory, Joel Grind's projects.
Yeah. I mean, basically all of these have been an influence in some manner.
Yeah.
I mean, I listen to all of these bands, basically. I'm a big fan of all these bands, especially, like I said, there's a whole bunch. If you go on the Metal Archives page, there's so many newer bands, like you mentioned, Wraith, Bewitcher, Wasteland Riders, Whip Striker, even. Like all those bands from the kind of black speed scene right now are all killer bands. I'm not sure if Butcher, Vulture, are they on the page? I'm not too sure, but yeah, so much cool bands.
Yeah. Now we're on the subject of comparison. A lot of artists don't really like to be compared to other bands. In your case, do you take that as a compliment that you're being compared to a band like a Venom or a Midnight or a Speedwolf, or doesn't really matter in your opinion?
Yeah, it doesn't really bother me. If someone, you've kind of got to have some way to tell someone about a band. You've got to say, oh, listen to Hellripper, they kind of sound like whatever, if you want, like Venom, whatever you want to say, so it kind of gives someone an idea of what you sound like. I mean, it doesn't really bother me. I don't get annoyed, or I don't get whatever. I mean, it's cool that people mention me in the same
breath as Venom.
Yeah, it's like, it's one of my favorite bands. Like, it's just cool to be related to other musicians, other music that you like. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, because we've known bands and artists that don't like to be compared to even the subgenre.
Yeah.
So yeah. I see their point of view because they want to be their own, but at the same time,
it's hard to ignore. It's hard to ignore. Yeah.
It's hard to ignore. It's kind of like with Geronimo saying he hated death metal, which we kind of know he really didn't hate death metal. He was inspired by death metal, but he
early on, yes.
Yeah, but he claims...
and that just goes to show you the kind of person he was back in the day, how he would just flip his lid regardless. Which, I mean, looking back on it, it's kind of just funny, looking back at it. Especially, like ironically enough, when before we started streaming, we were talking about how I recently ordered Black Arts and Alchemy from Reaper Metal Productions Bandcamp the other day. And I was listening to their podcast when they had Scott Burns, one of my favorite producers of all time. and how they brought that up of like how Euronymous took a cheap shot at him on the back of Death Crush because he was like, death metal's a lie, it's not true, da, 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 da. And it's just funny. It's like, here you are, you're just doing your own thing in Norway, and you're putting the guy from Florida on the back of an EP, and it's like, you're probably never gonna meet. Like, what a cheap shot. But that was just the mentality back in the day, and even Scott Burns was like, it's fine. It was just the next step from after, like, because you look back, like, thrash for a long time was like the king of extreme, and then death metal comes up when the guys were like, oh, Metallica's lame, and Slayer used to be heavy, and then the Norwegian scene comes up, and they're like, death metal's not real death. It's just the next step of like rebelling against something that they used to like, and they thought it was starting to get sterile, which, I mean, that's a whole other rabbit hole. We'll save that for another time. But ironically enough, unintentional segue, we were talking about death metal, brings us to your project Lord Rot, which I was listening to the EP about a week or two ago, and it was really cool, really, really cool stuff, and certainly reminds me, like, when I was listening to it, it reminds me of, like, very much the early death metal stuff, when it was still very raw and very thrash-oriented before it became what it eventually became. A lot of also, so it was like a mix of that, as well as a little bit of that early, like, late 80s, early 90s Swedish death metal, a little bit. Would you say that, like, those were some of the big inspirations to create Lord Rot?
Yeah, definitely. Any sort of kind of old school death metal, and yeah, primarily like the Swedish kind of stuff was a big influence there. Merciless,
Entombed,
Left Hand Fast,
Necrophobic, as well as like even some of the newer stuff. Of course, Bloodbath, Tribulation, their first album, Repugnant. That Repugnant album is one of my favorite death metal albums. And kind of like early, what do you call it, the Cannibal Corpse, and like the first Cannibal Corpse and stuff like that, where it's more thrash. It was any kind of thrashy death metal. I think thrash punk death metal, which is was kind of the inspiration for that.
Yeah, I mean, I've checked it out. It's kind of cool, and also, this is something I want to ask you. Of course, we're in spooky months. October is the time of the month. A lot of people like to go back and watch a lot of horror movies. So my question to you is: one, are you a horror maniac? And if so, has horror influenced your bands like Lord Rot and Hellripper, and to what extent? Because we know some bands like Ice Earth was hugely inspired by the old Universal monsters that created their album Horror Show, which I really enjoyed. And we know also, movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Nightmare on Elm Street have inspired a lot of metal bands. Hell, even The Exorcist from Seven Churches came from The Exorcist. So, yeah, I want to ask you, has horror movies, suspense movies influenced you in terms of your projects? And if not, what are your favorite horror movies, or are you watching anything currently?
Yeah, so horror movies, especially with Lord Rot, and I'm trying to think of Hellripper. The latest album had a couple of songs kind of influenced by movies. You had a Blood Orgy of the She-Devils. That's a title of another movie.
Yes, that's what I.
That is such a badass title.
You've got Beyond the Convent Walls, which is kind of taken from Behind the Convent Walls, which is another film. Beyond the Convent Walls is actually influenced by true events, but there's also a film based on those events, which I watched, called The Devils, which is another one that influenced. What else? Lord Rot is kind of more kind of the slasher kind of influence, like all that kind of stuff. That's the kind of lyrical content I wanted for a Lord Rock, kind of old school, like the gory slasher kind of films. I felt that fit Lord Rock more. With Hellripper, it's mostly kind of true, I guess, kind of true events that kind of inspire it. Like
inspired films.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm not like a horror maniac, but I do like horror films. I like I said, a bunch of all the old school films, like and a lot of the newer supernatural kind of films, like Sinister and all that kind of stuff. I'm quite like a lot of that kind of thing, but I'm not like I don't know many like extreme obscure horror films. Like I don't seek those out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure you've seen like probably Midsummer, Hereditary.
No, I haven't seen those yet.
Really?
I haven't watched those yet. No, they're on my list, but I've never like.
You have to see it. I mean, it's not really slasher horror. It's more of
psychological,
kind of in a way, but it's more, I guess, more paganism in a way. Kind of like paganism horror, which is Hereditary. At first, it kind of fucked me up for a couple of days. I'm not gonna spoil what happens, even though everybody must have known what happens. But yeah, give those a watch. Also, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Witch.
Yeah, I watched The Witch. Yeah, that was the kind of influenced within the Everlasting Hellfire from the last album. I was watching that at the time, so yeah, that was another one that I completely forgot about that influenced the song.
So yeah, I mean, sucks because to some extent, horror and metal always goes hand in hand. It's kind of like with wrestling and metal, which is another thing I want to ask you. Are you a wrestling fan?
I do keep up with some wrestling and stuff. I haven't watched it religiously in ages now, but I still go back and watch like the old Attitude Era stuff.
Yes, that was what I grew up on too.
Yeah,
that was our era.
Yeah, so that's my favorite kind of stuff. I used to watch that every week. The SmackDown, Raw, Heat, just any of the TV shows. Yeah, there's kind of a Scottish wrestling scene kind of coming up right now. ICW, which is kind of cool.
UK wrestling in general has been blowing up in recent years.
Yeah.
Especially now after one of my favorites and also home countryman Drew McIntyre got the world title last year. Which is ironic to me because it's like I know his real name, Drew Galloway, but he's Drew McIntyre, and McIntyre being my last name, but they spell it differently over there. Which it always makes me laugh that was the case. But yeah, I have noticed that too. Like, yeah, UK wrestling blowing up over the past like 5-6 years, especially now with WWE having their own UK only brand and seeing and me getting to discover newer guys like Pete Dunne and Walter, even though he's from Austria, but he kicking ass and stuff. But yeah, I'm like you. It's like, well, I haven't really watched it too much in a few months, mostly because of a personal thing that happened that I won't get into right now. All I'm going to say is fucking stupidity. That's it. And it involves a friend of mine who actually later tonight we're doing a podcast all about, ironically enough, we're talking about horror and blood and gore and stuff. Tonight's, for those who are watching that watch the Shadow Cult podcast, wrestling stuff, we're doing the top 10 bloodiest WWE matches of all time. Oh my god. But that's tonight, not right now. But but I actually had this interesting question for you because I used to watch back when I was much younger, like in my early teenage years, because we're around the same age. Like, you're 26, right?
Yeah.
And I'm 27, so yeah, we kind of grew up around the same era of stuff. I used to watch, because like you were bringing up like the music channels over there, like Scuzz and Kerrang. Yeah, like here in the States we had
VH1.
VH1 back when they gave a shit, and MTV back when they gave a shit. Really, the main music channel I really loved was VH1 Classic, because they would stick to music. And I used to watch that metal show, and that was how I discovered more old bands like UFO and more than just the radio hits of the Scorpions and stuff. And they always used to ask this question on their show, and I always like it because it's interesting to hear what people would say to this. But if you, James, could be in any other band, what would it be and what would you play?
Any other band? Maybe Metallica. I mean, it's one of my favorite bands of all time.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite as well.
Yeah, I mean, I love all their stuff, basically. Yeah, so it'd probably be guitar and Metallica. Rhythm guitar and Metallica.
I was gonna say, are you gonna be
shared a limelight with James Hetfield?
Yeah. If James wants to take up vocal duties, I'll do the rhythm guitar.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Just make sure it's not a other circumstance like what happened in '92, because that was rough.
Oh
yeah, with that when he nearly died in that pyro fire. Ooh, I cringe every time I think about that because of how bad it was. And then what happened afterwards with Axl and GNR, and it still bothers me to this day, even though I wasn't even conceived yet. But yeah, going back, because like Metallica is my favorite band of all time. Without them, I would not have gone down this path of life that I'm on. But yeah, going back and watching like the documentaries and stuff, it's like, oh man, thank God Hetfield made it through out of that, because I don't know what I would have done if he was gone from that. But that's always interesting, like hearing like if they wanted to be in another band, or if they could, like if Doctor Strange could pull some kind of magic sorcery and make it happen. There you go.
I mean, it's possible. Maybe in some other universe that did happen.
Yeah, the multiverse. Oh boy. Well, actually, ironically enough, speaking of comics, are you a comic person?
No, I've never really gotten into comics. I've got no idea really about any of that, really.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah. What about at least the movies? Or
no, I don't really. Well, depend. I mean, there's probably films that are based on comics that I don't know about, but I'm not really a big like superhero film fan.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
It is definitely an acquired taste. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I'm more like recently. I'm more into like series and things. I'm not much of a film watcher recently.
I
prefer more series just because it gives you kind of more time to for things to develop and things.
And what series are you currently watching? Because the most popular one right now is Squid Games, which I have yet to watch. But any series you're currently watching, I mean, it doesn't have to be about meta. It could be anything, but anything interesting, or maybe something that it'll shock people knowing that you like this. Because,
recently I just finished Squid Game, which I enjoyed. I recently started watching The Sopranos, which I'd never seen.
The Sopranos.
I just started The Sopranos.
Give it the business, man. I cannot do New York accent to save my ass.
Try to think what else. Just loads of stuff that I kind of that I never watched at the time of the release, like Dexter. I finished that not too long ago. What else? I can't even think.
Walking Dead by any chance?
No, I didn't enjoy. Well, I watched the first episode like years and years ago. And I don't think I paid full attention to it, so I don't think I.
Oh, me neither. I rather read the comics. They're more interesting than the show.
Yeah, so it seems like the kind of thing I enjoy. So I'll probably give it another chance at some point. But it was just it was ages ago that I never I never like paid full attention, and I just didn't carry on watching it.
Mhm.
So
And the fact
Could
that
be.
it's been around for 11 years now, and they're now in their
Yeah.
final season, which is crazy. Yeah, like I'm with you on that. It's like I love The Walking Dead up until they decided to get rid of Rick Grimes or Andrew Lincoln, and it's like, how do you?
That's
do
when it went
without
down.
him? That was when it
That's
went
what-
down. I haven't paid attention in a few years for that show, but yeah, it's like I agree. It's like Walking Dead, the show. It has its moments, and then it has its. Did you really have to go there? But hey, a cool little metal side note with it. Scott Ian was on an episode as one of the Walkers a long time ago.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and he did a good job in not overdoing it. So even though it was brief, it was still pretty cool.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's Sky Ian. I mean, he'll basically be in anything. I mean, look at Edge. He was in Vikings,
Yeah, he was.
which is shocking that he actually had Vikings. I was like, oh my god, he does pull the Viking look.
Yeah, because you gotta have the fucking beard to really pull it off.
Mm.
But,
Yeah, but- Yeah. So this is something interesting that I found a couple of days ago. Hellripper is signed with Peaceful Records.
Mhm.
And my question is, how did that happen? Because Peaceful is one of the most legendary labels in metal. How did that happen? Did you reach to them, or did they reach to you, or was it because of a mutual friend, or how did that happen?
Yeah, they just emailed me one day. I think Paul, who runs the label, he was turned on to the band by a friend of his who liked the band, and he just got in touch with me, and yeah, they emailed me, and we spoke for a little while about what was happening, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that was it really. It wasn't really anything crazy or anything. It was just a simple kind of are you interested in releasing your next album with Peaceville? And yeah, I mean it's crazy to think that I'm on a label with like bands like Dark Throne and
Yeah.
Bloodbath, and they've had
Yeah.
Autopsy, Paradise Lost, so many.
yeah, just everyone. Like so yeah, it's cool to be part of anything related to that really. So yeah, it's
Part of Peaceville history.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I mean-
because I find it shocking and amazing when bands get signed to major labels because they're like,
Relatively
oh my god, never-
quickly. Yeah, relatively quickly. too.
exactly, quickly, because Hellripper's not even 10 years old; they're barely like almost 5 to 6 years old, and
7, yeah.
two albums under your wing, a lot of EPs,
Couple EPs
more stuff
and demos.
more stuff coming up. I mean, the future looks bright, my friend. Trust me, it looks bright for you. And
I
you
hope
know,
so, yeah.
with touring, I mean, you tour a lot, and that's the thing that I fascinates about one man projects. They do the stuff solo the story, but when they go touring, they always have to, of
You
course,
always gotta
get
find the right
hired-
people that can.
gotta find the right
Yeah.
peoples. Is that difficult for you at times to find the right persons to take on tour and bring the music to the fans?
Yeah, it's so over the years I've had kind of a few people involved, but it's mostly just like friends of mine. And yeah, we haven't
That's
actually played so many shows as Hellripper. I mean, I think I've got a list of all the shows on my website, but I think since Hellripper started, I think we've played like just 30 shows or something, which isn't a lot at all. We've only did one tour, which was like a 1-week European tour. Of course, last year we were supposed to do a few things. We were supposed to go out with Midnight and Red Death, which would have been
Yeah.
We also,
That would have been
we also-
killer, yeah.
That would have been awesome.
we also had a few or 2 or 3 other things booked that weren't announced. They were cancelled before they were announced, which would have been killer as well. Yeah, next year, I mean, we've done cool things like Anyway, which is like stuff I never thought I would do.
Yeah.
We played some festivals and played with bands, some of my favorite bands. I mean, we played with Midnight, London. We've played with Orange Goblin and Discharge, which
Orange. Ooh.
yeah, so it's crazy just doing stuff like that. But yeah, hopefully we'll get back to touring next year.
Yeah.
We've got a a couple of cool things in the works. Hopefully they work out. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, it's just kind of, I've been lucky with getting my friends involved. Right now, I think the worst part is my drummer Max. He got in touch just via Twitter when I needed a new drummer. I just put out a tweet asking if anyone wanted to join the live band, and he offered, but he stays down in Brighton, which is at the very bottom of the UK, and I stay up in the Highlands, the Scottish Highlands, which is at the very, very top of the UK. So there's like a 12-hour distance between us, like. So that's the worst part. But I mean, the guys are good at their instruments. They know what they're doing. They're my friends as well, so I get along with them. And so far, everything's been going well with these guys. So yeah, hopefully it continues. That'd be cool. Just to keep the same guys involved.
So, any plan to come to the States? That's the big question.
Yeah, like loads of plans. Like, I mean, nothing concrete, but I mean, I've been wanting to get to the States for so long. It's probably my biggest, my biggest market. Probably most of the people that, most of the listeners and people that buy merch and stuff are from the US. Judging by my Spotify stats and Bandcamp stuff. So, yeah, I want to get to the States. It's just, it's
a matter of time.
Yeah,
it's a matter of time.
I mean, right now. But hey, luckily the U.S. is opening, letting people from Europe fly in here in just a couple of weeks. So
yeah,
the future's looking bright for that. So
yeah, it's looking bright. So hopefully next year. I mean, not to say this year's been better. Last year was kind of shit. So I want to bring. Speaking of this year, any albums that could be in your maybe top 10 contenders for your album of the year, but anything new music you discovered this year, or any bands?
Yeah, loads of stuff, and I'm trying to think because this year's just been an absolute, like, I've lost all track of time and things. So yeah, the Wraith album, their last album was released like a couple of weeks ago, I think. That's a killer album. The Crown, their album was great.
Yeah, I love that album too.
Cannibal Corpse, of course.
Yes.
Of course, you had Bewitcher. Necromantheon. That was a really killer extreme thrash album. Who else? I'm probably forgetting like some of my absolute favorites. Anytime I've got to think of something, I just completely forget. Like my.
It happens. It always happens.
Album of all time, and I completely forget it.
Like for us, like we always go back and forth about like what albums do we like this year, and it's like because the big one I was looking forward to this year the most, that was supposed to have been out actually the day before my birthday last year on August 7th, the new Carcass album, and then it finally came out. And it's like, I even said, it was amazing. I don't know if it was as good as Surgical Steel to me, because I just was in love with Surgical Steel, but it was still a great, phenomenal album. Other ones I really liked, Evil's new album, I absolutely adore.
Yeah, Soen, a big one.
Yeah, Soen, the new Soen album, because I just love Martin Lopez's drum work. Asphyx was a big one for me. Yeah. Hooded Menace, the new Hooded Menace. I think that has been the album, even though it's right now not quite at my number one. That new Hooded Menace album, I think, out of anything this year, has been the one I've listened to the absolute most. Because it just caught me off guard, like how they brought in some of that 80s classic metal vibes, like King Diamond, Merciful Fate in their sound. Other ones I really liked.
For me, the new
The Crown
Amenra
was great.
The Crown Amenra was really good for me. After what else was good? Asphyx, the new Asphyx was great. Mariana's Rest was also great. The new Worm album, which came out a couple of days ago, was phenomenal.
And to think we still got a bunch of big ones coming up. Like hell, just yesterday we just got Cradle of Filth and Dream Theater, and New Massacre for the first time in a while.
Yeah. And Mastodon. We still need the new
Next
Mastodon
week,
album.
Mastodon, and then we got Hypocrisy, Exodus.
Swallow the Sun in a couple of weeks.
I know that's going to be your big one, because I think part of that's my fault because of how I was so blushy over their last album, and I think that latched onto you, and now look.
No. This was before. Trust me. Before that, Swallow the Sun was.
I beg to differ with you, but I digress.
If we ever do a Swallow the Sun episode, you'll see me. Trust me, you'll see.
All right. I will challenge you on that, Ricky. But yeah, it's still crazy to think we still got some big ones coming, and the year's 2 more months away.
Yeah, unless for some weird reason a big band releases something unexpected.
Just shockingly, like Maiden, like it happened with Maiden. Like it was kind of a surprise. Like just a month or two before we hear Senjutsu coming out. What?
Which is a phenomenal album. Actually, it's become more of a grower. I mean, at first it was like too many long songs, but the more you give it a shot, the better it gets. The better it gets, the more you enjoy it. The better you enjoy it, the better you digest it.
Yeah,
but it's
and plus the packaging. Like I can grab it real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fucking packaging is so fucking sweet with the artwork inside. It's just you can't go wrong with it, you know.
Yep. So, James, are you more of a vinyl person or a CD person or cassettes even?
Yeah, CD for me. I like vinyl, like the actual thing better.
To get everything that comes in there, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but just in terms of for convenience and for cost, and because when I started like collecting stuff when I was younger, it was CDs. Oh, well, it was cassettes at first, but then cassettes kind of stopped, and then it started with
now
CDs.
They're coming back,
Yeah. So I've got my CDs, they're behind me over there.
And you put my collection to absolute shame.
And both of you put my collection to shame, even though you can't see my collection actually on that side. I just feel like one of my shelves. I'm almost filling up the other shelf, but hopefully I can get more. I need to buy more shelves soon.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at mine, like it's 7 so far, and I've got 6.5 6.5 filled. Yeah. That's
let's say,
if I had to estimate how many I have. I mean, I could easily figure that out by going to my Discogs, but.
All that's done. That one's almost filled. Those 2 will be filled soon. I have room for probably 2 more shelves. After that, I have to buy probably a bigger shelf to put more CDs.
So an estimate, I'm gonna take a gander and say, Ricky, you have well over 100 now.
Of course.
And I have, like I said, if
you
I
have
estimate, I have probably almost 420 so far.
Let me go to
still more coming.
Well, let me go to your Discogs.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, remember, kids that are watching, if you need to figure out like how many you have, put your collection on Discogs, and you can keep perfect track of it.
Oh yeah,
Thank God
it helps a lot.
I wanted to do that ages ago, but it just felt so daunting. Like
it is daunting.
It is daunting.
Yeah, especially when you have to track down, like you have a particular version, like this version of Senjutsu. It's the BMG release. Of the album.
Yeah,
so it's like you have to really dig hard, and also go to like I mean, it's not on here. It was on the shrink wrap. The barcode and like get the proper barcodes. It is a pain in the ass, but it is worth it in the end to see like, holy crap, I can't believe that my collection's nearly worth $7,000.
Yeah, because I remember
Maximum,
when I first started. I remember when I first doing my Discogs collection, it took me, and I had at the time maybe 50 CDs. It took me almost an entire day to just put them in the computer, look at the barcode, look at the right printing. With Levi's case, it must have taken you a month or less to put all those.
Well, I mean, unless you like dedicate your time to it, like I did.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, like I think I did this after I got home from work, and it's like, okay, I got nothing better to do. I'll just have the music playing and then just go one by one. and
Yeah,
just
that-
figure it out.
yeah.
Okay, how do I do this? Oh, you just it's there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But how many CDs would you estimate that you have currently, James?
I think there's like 1,000 or something.
Yeesh.
Between I'd
Yeah.
say between 800 to 1,000. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
I've got no idea. I've never really counted. The
Yeah.
closest I get is when I when I move house or something and I'm reorganizing because they're all in alphabetical order and stuff. So
Mhm.
Exactly. That's the thing I like about physical media. A lot of
Yes.
people like to organize them by subgenres or by alphabet or however they feel to. I have mine by alphabet because it's a lot
Mine
easier.
too. It's so much
to-
easier.
And when you buy physical media, you come across rarities or rare finds because I can tell you personally, Levi and I and the rest of the Horsemen have some albums that are so hard to find that it's shocking when people find out we actually have this album because it's either out of print or hasn't been reissued or it's just impossible to get.
Impossible to
Okay.
get unless you spend like a fortune.
Yes.
If you
Or
can find
you,
it,
or
like-
you really, really go into almost every single
you
website.
just become desperate. You just become desperate. Just search as much as you can. Like, where do I find this and this by so and so band? And 9
What kind
times
of
out of
rarity
10.
what are they?
Well,
Um,
the two rarest ones I got right here, and one of them is one of my favorite albums of all time, and I jammed it a lot on YouTube back in. Oh shit! I think it was after I was out of high school in 2013, but I did find this album earlier this year on a website called MiamiMetalMerchant.com, and they have
Oh yeah.
a section on Discogs called Rare Fine Metals, something like that. They had this album for only $15, and I'm like, I am buying that right now. I don't care. I'm doing it. Cro-Mags' Best Wishes
Oh
album.
nice.
Because I think, I mean, I know Harley from Cro-Mags has been slowly putting the Cro-Mags stuff on like Spotify and stuff,
mhm.
but I haven't heard anything about if he's gonna do like the reissues of the old stuff. I managed to find the original copy from '89, Best Wishes, for only $15, and it was in fantastic shape. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
But arguably an even rarer one, and because, like I brought up earlier, I'm such a huge fan of Sodom, and I have like 99% of everything. The only thing I'm missing is the final sign of evil, but I managed to find, because for some people that are watching or listening that perhaps do not know, early on when they were doing their debut Obsessed by Cruelty, they recorded it at first. They sent it over to SPV or Steamhammer or whatever you want to say, and they didn't like it. So they told them, you need to do a better job at the recording. So they did the second version where they tuned down to D and added an extra song after the Deluge, and that was the version that was released in Europe. While here in the States, through Metal Blade, the original recording was released. So, which is why recent years when they did the reissue for in the final sign of evil, it came with the American version of Obsessed, but I was lucky to find the European version with the bonus song and the different recording. Now, if you were to ask me which one I prefer, I honestly go with the original recording because it's just a little more raw, and it kind of keeps on that spirit of In the Sign of Evil for me. Not that the European version isn't bad, it's pretty good. I just really like the original recording because it just has more sinister tones to it.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think, like, going from here to Persecution Mania, it's like night and fucking day. But I digress.
Especially Agent Orange. And for
Yes.
me, rarities, I just probably maybe have 4. One of the big ones, The Mantle by
Yes.
Agalloch. I
Which
remember
have
when I
that
first
too.
got into Agalloch I always wanted this album, and it took me ages to find because whenever you found a copy online, it would always go quickly.
It would
because
go
it's
fast, yeah,
because
it's so
a
sought
match.
after.
And luckily, I got this for $15, which that was a good hit.
Me too.
Another one, and this one, ones that Levi and I have had because I've been getting more into Death Doom. Winter Into Darkness, which, funny enough, it's actually now getting a reprint, a reissue after a long time.
How ironic! After we buy the original versions, they're getting printed back up again. But I guess we helped. I guess,
and I think I spent $20 around this, so good price.
Now, I'm trying to remember how much I paid for it because I think it was from the same store.
It was the same store.
And didn't we get it on the same day too?
Yes, we did. I ordered it earlier. I ordered it earlier because, of course, it was from New York, and of course, New York's closer to Ohio, so.
Yeah, because I ordered it a few days after you did, but yeah, we got it.
And these next two are probably the rarest finds in my collection. X Japan's Art Alive, the 30-minute masterpiece, which comes for a little booklet with the lyrics. Try finding this anywhere. I tell you, find it. It took me. I spent about $30 from Amazon, which of all places had it from Japan. So it took 2 months to arrive. And last but not least, I've talked about this before. To me, it is the greatest Deftones album to ever exist. Disembowelment transcends the periphery. The only album ever released by this band, hard to find. I think they've only just had two printings. After that, nothing. So I was really, really lucky to find this album in my collection. And again, being the Deftones guy in the group, it was a must. It was a must.
Yeah. Yeah, because, like, and it's always satisfying. Like, I'm sure, James, you can attest to this. Like, when it comes to finding, like, albums you really, really love, but yet they're so hard to get, when you can get them for a reasonable price and in good shape, it's one of the most satisfying feelings you could get.
So that's the one thing that, especially metalheads, and metal in general, we love our physical media.
Yes.
No matter if it's CDs, vinyls, I'm gonna be honest, cassettes. I mean, I have my music on my iTunes, but now and then I like to take out the CD, play it on my laptop, and just read through the lyrics, read through the liner notes, because that's how we find out about how this album was created, who produced it, who was in the band, who recorded this track, who recorded that track.
And reading along to the lyrics as you're listening.
Exactly. Yeah, because I mean, of course, you know James that you take dedication from the artwork to the printing to the hell, even to the minor things. All that for us to not appreciate what bands do for stuff like this. I mean, we appreciate it a lot because they take time and dedication to actually an effort to create music such as vinyl, such as CD, such as cassettes. So it's the least that we can do. Buy the album physically and just play it on as we look through the album cover, the lyrics, and just enjoy it.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's so many albums where, especially with like the artwork, you like the album more because the artwork is cool, or I mean, like the artwork kind of fits with the music. Like, of course, that's how you before like the internet and stuff. You would find albums like just being in even like, I mean, when the internet was a thing, I would still go to music stores and just kind of look through the death metal section and buy stuff that I looked cool. Which is a thing that I kind of envy, because I wish I could have gone to a record store not knowing what I'm buying and being blown away. Now with the internet, now you can actually
it's like you can go and search it up beforehand, and if you like it, then it's like, okay, I'm gonna buy that.
Yeah, but at times when you go to a record store and you see an album that you're like, how in the hell has not this been picked up? You automatically snatch it.
Yeah. Which is funny because I brought it up before we started live. That I'll be on vacation here, leaving on Halloween. I'm going up to Toledo with some family, and found quite a few shops up there that I'm definitely going to stop by and see what I can get my hands on. If I have to go crazy, I'll go crazy. But yeah, because that's just me. I go absolutely insane sometimes.
I mean, for all we know, you could find a Hellripper album there.
Yeah,
Possibly.
I think though, because the one that I'm missing is the first one, Coagulating Darkness. So I'd be shocked, because the last time I went to a record shop, which was just a month ago, and that was where I got this, they didn't have too much. I managed to walk out with 4 CDs, but not really a whole much to write home about. But then again, it was kind of a rinky-dink place, so it was kind of to be expected. But up in Toledo, I've seen they got some damn good stuff. And one of my friends, Necrotic Nick from Thralls of Metal on YouTube, he's also a huge Hellripper fan. He sported the shirts and gotten your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If James puts my collection to shame, Nick's collection puts everyone's to shame, because then again, he's much older. He's in his early 40s, so he's been around the block and has been buying and buying and buying, and still does. But yeah, and to go back to with physical media, it's like if I had more money, I would have went with vinyl, because I will agree that when it comes to packaging, vinyl definitely is the way to go, because the actual thing, the picture discs, the lyric sheet, maybe a poster, and some extras, give or take, depending on the releases. But yeah, I'm with you, James. CDs just for convenience and cost, and to have something small to make room. Yeah, and also the other benefit that I think some people might know, some people might not. CDs are also great for, because it is a digital format. You get the best of both worlds to have the digital version and the physical. It's you can load it onto your phone to have on the go, but still keep your stuff in perfect condition, but still take it out to reference. So, and that's the way I am. Anytime I get the stuff, I load it onto my phone and onto my computer, so that way I could listen to it, but keep them all in good shape, because I like to collect and keep stuff in decent shape and take care of it. But every once in a while, especially if I ever have a party with some friends, which is not that often, I'll take the CD out and put it into the player and just go absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I don't have friends like that around here, because my town, it sucks. It absolutely sucks.
That's why we need to go to the Ohio and kidnap you and take it to a show, buddy.
Oh God, don't. I know. I need to fucking go to a concert, but it's just. Who knows? Maybe next year. Maybe next year if Hellripper comes through, I'll definitely be there. I mean, hell. That actually, I actually just thought of this question. We were talking about our mutual buddy Daniel DK. Have you ever talked to him about doing something together, either a tour or even a project together?
I've spoke to him. He's offered to kind of help out if we want to come over to Canada or the North America and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I've only really started speaking to DK in the last year or so. I haven't known him for a long time.
Same here.
So since I've really spoke to him, it's been COVID, so there's nothing to really plan, nothing to. Not allowed to do anything, but yeah, I'm hoping to get him, if he was interested in doing some form of guest guitar thing on a Hellripper song or something.
That would be sweet. Yeah,
that would be awesome.
That'd be killer. I was hoping for the next album, but I've kind of gave myself a deadline, and if there's time to get him involved, then it'd be killer. But if not, definitely in the future.
Yeah, because that would be so cool, since such a good friend to us, and I love what he does. And I definitely agree that if he were to guest appear on a Hellripper album, that'd be fucking sweet to hear you guys shredding along. That'd be so killer. So fucking killer. Or even hear a project like a thrash project. DK and James McBain come together and they form a thrash project. That'd be amazing. Because I'm like you. I'm like, out of everybody in our group on the podcast, I'm the big thrash and death metal guy, and even like prog. Like I love prog and classic metal. That's my forte. Whereas black metal, I love black metal, but it's give or take depending on the band and the scene and such. But yeah, like thrash and death metal are definitely my go-tos for me. I remember I asked you the other day, it might have been last night or the night before on your last Instagram stream about brutal death, and I know you said you haven't listened to much. I will have to recommend you some good stuff from that genre. Okay. The big one I know that I know you know is Cryptopsy from Canada, since they're in that realm.
I'm a big fan of Cryptopsy.
Yeah. I have the first 2 albums, Lord Worm, and they are just so disgusting and awesome. Yeah, other brutal ones I can recommend you. Suffocation.
Oh, yeah.
Is always
the
benchmark, I would say.
Yeah. When you were speaking about brutal death, I thought you meant like the like, whatever you call it, the extreme fucking...
The slam stuff.
Kind of stuff, yeah.
Which slam's not my thing, because I would say, I need more than just breakdown, blast, bleed. Blast, bleed. That's a new one for the fucking archives. Blast, beat. It's like when it comes to that kind of sound, like there are a few bands I can do it well, like Internal Bleeding, I think do it fairly well. Well, then again, they created it, so obviously they're gonna know what they do. But brutal death, it's definitely like for a lot of death metal fans that may think, is that a bit much? It is an acquired taste, but I love it because it just goes to show you how extreme they're willing to go. Yeah, like Suffocation. Broken Hope, that's a big one, who ironically we're supposed to have here in a couple months Jeremy Wagner, the mastermind behind Broken Hope, on the show. And he's fucking legend in his own right. Cryptopsy, Dying Fetus, and there's even been some Nile. I would consider Nile in that realm, even though they're definitely more melodic and technical. They can get just as brutal as a Suffocation. Yeah, there's just so many out there in brutal death that I can definitely recommend you. Deeds of Flesh, that's another good one. American Disgorge.
There's just so much out there.
There's some Defeated Sanity from Germany. That's a great one. There's so much in that genre. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, but amazing to think how metal genres, subgenres, can just expand all over the place. Like, and I think that honestly started when thrash came about, because like here in the States was where we got it from. Exodus, Metallica, Anthrax, and Slayer, Overkill. And then just to think, in such a short amount of time, like a few years go by, then suddenly you get demos and early albums from all over the place, like from Creator and Sodom and Hellhammer and Celtic Frost. And it's amazing to think that how far we've come with how we get so many different scenes around the world, like a fucking Singaporean grindcore scene of all places. Who would have thought? Who would have fucking thought that would have been a possibility? Or like Indonesian slam, or
Japanese black metal.
South African classic metal. You name it, it's all out there.
I mean, that's what we love metal.
Yes.
That's what we love metal. The expansion, the creativity, the free will. That's why we love it.
And of course, I mean, we were speaking about like with the physical copies, and it would be cool to like go back in time to like go to record stores and stuff.
And hang out with your buddies. Yeah.
And now with the internet, I mean, now you can just find anything from anywhere. Like if a band from whatever Japan puts out an album right now, I can access it immediately on Bandcamp or whatever, and you can just discuss. Like, there's just so many, so much stuff like that's possible with the internet. You're exposed to so much killer music, so much networking, like speaking to people like yourselves now. Like, I mean, this would never be possible.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, the only way we could have done that was by actually writing a
Or
letter.
or somehow getting phone numbers and calling each other on the old cord phones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like the scenes are like global now instead of like
Yeah.
I guess localized scenes. Like there's now it's like global scenes, like with bands from like everywhere being like related or like networking with each other, which is I think it's killer. It's just so much. Yeah, it's just so much. Like
So much.
You can speak to like people from everywhere that share the same interests that you would never. If you grow up in a town that's got no metalheads or no one that likes metal and stuff, you can go online
Mm-hmm.
and just talk to people, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's so much.
yeah.
I mean, without the internet and stuff, I wouldn't be able to do Hellripper. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like a one-man thing from a small town. I mean, right now I live in a city like 3 hours from the nearest like bigger city, so there's no shows or anything that happens near me. So it's without the internet and social media and things, no one would know who Hellripper is, and
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
so
And
the advantage to the internet and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's like I always say, it's like as much of a curse the internet can be, for the most part it's a blessing. Especially with tools like Bandcamp, for example, where you can directly support the label or the band and get a fantastic fresh copy of an album you love. Which is why I was so happy whenever I bought Black Arts and Alchemy the other night from Reaper Metal, because I love their podcasts and stuff, and seeing that you were on there for a little bit, it's like, holy shit, Hellripper was on Reaper Metal? That's badass.
Well, yeah,
that's fucking sweet.
I listened to Hellcast and stuff before I done Hellripper, so it was cool when Reaper got in contact with me about doing stuff together. So like, so I was a listener of Hellcast from like ages ago. So just the possibilities of everything, like meeting up with or working with or speaking to people that I'm a fan of, like meeting other musicians that I listen to and all that kind of stuff. It's crazy just with the
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like oh crap. Oh yeah, now I remember. I draw blank sometimes, people. But yeah,
Rarely,
something. Huh? Yeah, there you go. That's for you. But anyways, I can't believe we've gone this far and I haven't asked you this, but when it comes to when you're playing guitar, bass, and or drums, I wanted to go by one. Like, when it comes to the musicians or the players within each instrument, what one shaped your style the most? So let's start with guitars. Like, what were the guitarists that shaped your playing style? Or inspired you to pick up guitar?
Yeah. So with guitar, it's kind of my favorite guitarist of all time is John Frusciante from Red Hot Chili Peppers. He's so
he is really, really, really amazing.
Yeah. So he's my favorite of all time, and then you've got a lot of, I mean, in terms of like rhythm and stuff like that, it would be Dave Mustaine and James Hetfield, Jeff Walters.
Yes.
And then in terms of like general and like the stuff they wrote, you would have things like Angus Young. Again, Jeff Waters with his solos and things. Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, yes.
Who else? Just from bands that I like. So that's probably the main ones. Try to think.
Yeah.
And
for bass?
For bass, see, I'm much more of a guitar player. So with bass, it's probably. I mean, in terms of my playing style, I mean, of course, I love like Flea and Les Claypool and Alex Webster and things like that. But it doesn't really I'm nowhere near as good as them, and Hellripper doesn't like play that stuff, so it's kind of. So I mean, in terms of like, it would just be like bassists that I liked, like Alex Webster, Flea, Les Claypool. David Ellefson, just all the stuff. I mean, it's just all the bands that I like, really. Yeah, like drummers as well. I mean, it'd be I like a lot of the people like Hannes Grossman.
It's amazing to see what he can do in so many projects.
Marco Miniman.
That's another one.
Yeah, people like that. Just I'm just a big fan of those stuff. Even I love Dave Lombardo. I mean, of course, he's just
yeah. I mean, who doesn't love Dave Lombardo?
Dave Lombardo,
exactly, just ridiculous kind of stuff. And yeah, and again, like on vocals, it's just kind of anyone that I like. I mean, anyone from Corpse Grinder to Kronos to Rob Halford. I mean, just anything that I like. I mean, I think my influence, like with Hellripper, I think the influences kind of shine through most because I'm a guitarist more than anything else. So most of my influences kind of come into my guitar playing, which then goes into the music, and then the other instruments kind of adapt to the guitar, and so yeah. I mean, like I say, like I'm a big fan of, for example, Les Claypool or Rob Halford or whatever. That's not gonna happen in Hellripper, like that kind of stuff.
I will say I couldn't picture you trying to do like Les Claypool's vocals on Tommy the Cat or something like that, where he's just going super fast, speaking like Tommy the Cat had many a story to tell, but it was rare occasions such as this that he did. It's like I couldn't. It probably wouldn't compute. God, I am stumbling today. Keep in mind that I've only been awake for 3 hours, so I still have to get my shit together. But yeah, like picturing you, I don't know if you could compute trying to go for something like that because it's just so out there.
Yeah, I mean, things influence me in other ways. Like if you listen to, like, even when I'm listening to music that's like not metal or anything or something. Ideas from their stuff. Like I'm a massive Beatles fan, and just some of their ideas that they incorporate into their music, or some of their harmonies, or just something will influence me to do that. But in like in the Hellripper context or whatever. Just like in terms of song structures and things, and if you take stuff from like non-metal things, it kind of gives it a more unique kind of take on that or whatever, and just trying to incorporate different things. So yeah, just get influence and inspiration from anywhere and like try and kind of fashion it into your own thing. I guess that's what I try to do. Hopefully it works.
Yeah, because everybody gets their influences from somewhere, whether it be from other kinds of music or other bands within the same realm, or books, films, real-life events, personal experience.
Yeah.
And that's what always makes it music.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. Man, I can't believe we actually lasted this long. That was going to be a lot shorter, to be honest.
Well, I'll tell you what. So, for those who are actually watching, whether you're on YouTube or on Twitch, I say we got like another 20-30 minutes left. If you guys want to ask us or James any fan questions, feel free. So, got a good 20-30 minutes left, and we'll let you people in the chat ask us some fan questions. Like, you could ask, like, Ricky and I, like, future plans for the show, or if you want to ask James some, like, other cool questions. Go for it. In terms of future plans, we know, of course, the interviews with Jeremy Wagner from Broken Hope, and Gunnar from Blood Red Throne.
Of course, the Album of the Year episode, that's always a guarantee. We're gonna
which reminder with the Album of the Year episode, year number 2 of the tradition we started last year, where before we open each other's Christmas presents that we got for each other. I'll never forget last year. Like, holy shit. Like, the amount of stuff we got for each other was insane. Like, I remember, Ricky, I think I got you this before I got it for myself. Going to show you how much I was willing to go for that.
Yeah.
I think, if I remember right, I got, what the hell? I got Raphael, Morbid Tales by Celtic Frost.
Mm-hmm.
I got Hannah a vinyl of Immolation to a World Below. And then I got Arthur Edge of Sanity's Crimson 1 and 2 on CD. So
yeah.
Try to remember what you got me, Ricky, because
I got you Illud Venom by Opeth to complete your Opeth
In
set.
of Venom and Sound and Seven Trumpet Avenged Sevenfold. That's right.
Yeah.
And then Hannah, I think she got for me.
I got it.
Hannah got for me the Tippet et Igni by Vader. I remember. I think she got me stuff from Nuclear Blast Records.
And she got you Phantom Antichrist also.
Yes, Creator. Yeah. Which it's like, well, finally I got this one now. After all this time.
So last year, what did I get? I got in the Sign of Evil, project by you. From Raphael, I got Black Dahlia Murder, this manual. That's the name of the album. I think the one with the Dracula song, the one with Vlad.
Oh, Abysmal.
Yes,
that's
Abysmal.
The one I got too. Yeah.
Archer got me a little guitar stand.
Yeah,
and
because Archer wanted to go outside the box and get us different stuff. Like, let me see if I can get what
Hannah got me Mirror Reaper by Bell Witch and Wayfarer's album, Romance. Something I try to remember the name of the album.
Here was what Archer got me. This little scale thing of the Torre Bellum in Portugal, the castle, which is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
And then I think if I remember, Raphael got me Red Before Black by Cannibal Corpse.
Yes.
I was trying to remember that one.
Yeah.
What are we going to get each other this year? You'll have to wait until episode in December.
But future episodes, Gothic Metal is probably one of the next ones we're going to do. Since that was like the other one that kind of voted.
No, actually, I have to go back to that poll I put up a long time ago. But the guaranteed next episode, that's not an interview, Black Sabbath ranking all 19 albums, including the Heaven and Hell Devil You Know album in there too.
That's going to be fun. Oh god.
That's gonna be downright bloody for us.
If it was hard when we did the top 10 Sabbath songs, ranking all the albums, fuck's sake, that's
all 20. That's going to be because we're now expanding to doing band discography rankings now. So far with the poll, yeah, Sabbath's winning, and then it's a 3-way tie for second with the top 10 Gothic metal albums, top 10 punk albums, and the metal and pop culture debate that Arthur won.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the top 10 Agalok songs did get some votes, so that will be a guarantee in the future.
That's a guarantee, yeah. I mean, all of these episodes, they're all guaranteed.
They're all going to happen. It's just the order of how we do it is determined by you guys who vote on the YouTube poll.
As long as there's bands around, topics to discuss, decisions to talk to, this show's going to keep going, trust me.
Absolutely. I mean, the fact that we got James here is a testament of how far this show has come from where we started 3 years ago. We did get one question from Joel Bateman on YouTube. Any Ramstein fans in here out of us?
Yes.
Yes,
especially Hannah.
Hannah, because of course she's from Germany, so of course you got that. But yeah, she's the big Ramstein fan. So she's the token black metal and Ramstein fan out of the group, and it's like
kind of folk
stuff. Because it's like before doing all this, I listened to Ramstein, but not like super heavily until meeting Hannah, and then I listened to the new album that came out 2 years ago, and that was really good. I need to get some of their stuff in my collection at some point. I am ashamed that I don't have any yet. But maybe I'll find some in vacation. Yeah. You never know.
I mean, I have 3 albums. I have the self-titled, Muta, and Sehnsucht. I'm still missing Reisa, Rosen Road, and Herzeleid. So I'll be done with that Rammstein soon, hopefully. Oh, and Lifat. I can't forget about Lifat.
Do you have any Ramstein albums in your collection, James?
I have a few. I think I have, excuse the accent, Rise, Rosenrot. What else do I have? I think I have Mutter. And I think I have the greatest hits one somewhere. You know, the one with the white cover where the
Yes.
Oh yeah, where they're they look like they're getting like prosthetics put on.
Yeah.
The remixes and stuff by like Scooter and things like that. Yeah, I've got that somewhere. I don't have the new album, but I really like the new album.
It's so good.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it was so unexpected too. Like 10 years after after the last one.
Yeah,
I think they've recorded another one.
Yeah, they've been working on a new one.
Yeah, they've been
since
working.
Since COVID. It's like people don't have anything better to do other than let's just keep writing and get some material out for people.
Yeah.
Case in point, Trivium. Like we just had Trivium last year, and already a new one this year, which I thought was really good.
Yeah, I enjoyed the new one.
Yeah, definitely for me, as far as Trivium albums go, best one since Shogun, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's around there. Yeah.
Yeah, well, then again, they've been on a tear with the past few. After
same thing. Yep. Same thing with Mastodon. After The Emperor of Sand, I fucking enjoy that album.
I did too. I love everything Mastodon. I can't wait for the new one next week. Hopefully I can pick that up at the shops on vacation. Well, it'll already be out by then, so I should be able to get it.
Yeah.
So, hell yes. Yeah, because, Mastodon among my favorites as well. I'm
expecting probably Metallica releasing an
next
album.
Year, probably.
Hopefully. The rumors of Kerry King wanting to bring back Slayer, I'm like...
yeah. You know, actually, I completely forgot to tell you this, Ricky. One of my dearest friends who lives out in Seattle, she told me that her husband's sister went to a charity show and she thought it was Slayer. It was a cover band called Slander that dressed up like Slayer playing cover songs. I'm like, you got my hopes up too much there, damn it.
Were they at least good? That's the question.
Yeah, they were good apparently. So
because if they were shit, I'll be like,
it would have been like, why would you hurt me that bad?
But at least they were good, so at least there's that.
Yeah, and it was for charity in Seattle for like a children's hospital thing. So it was
so it was for a good cause.
Yeah, but the rumors of Slayer coming back though.
I mean, I wouldn't mind them doing studio albums, touring wise.
Touring would be very limited, probably.
I mean, probably Carrie might, because I know Carrie's been wanting to do a project,
like a new project of sorts.
So mostly
only question is, what the hell could it possibly be? That's the mystery.
I just hope it's something like Diablos.
Oh. I hate you. We have an ongoing joke, James, that's been going on since we started the show. Because the one Slayer album I absolutely despise, personally, is Diabolus in Musica. And every time I go live on Twitch or something, I did this as a way to torture myself because I hate myself sometimes. I put in a command that you type in. Oh God! Now that I say that, you're probably gonna do it now. Exclamation what? Diabolus and
what?
Yeah, go ahead, do it. I don't know if it still works. You can try, Ricky. Sure. I don't know if it still works, but you would type in exclamation Diabolus in Musica, and the response would say, "Shut up, Ricky." Because it's just we all pick at each other. You didn't. You forgot. No. You misspelled it. You forgot another Musica. You had one job, man. You had one job, and you. But But anyways, yeah, we go at each other with like albums we don't like, and just as a way to like just goof off. Like for Hannah, hers is the new Ghost album. She did not like the new Ghost.
Okay.
So much to the point. One of the funniest moments we've had on here, when we did the album of the year list for 2018, I had Prequel at number 4 because it was the first Ghost album I listened to top to bottom, and I liked it.
I had it at
you
3.
had at 3. Yeah, there it is. It worked. And after I said, and I prefaced it to her, I was like, I know, Hannah, your opinion about this, but I couldn't resist. Number 4, Ghost Prequel. Screw you! Screw you! Die! You have no idea about music. That was so hilarious. Or, I'm trying to remember. Ricky, do you remember what Arthur's boiling point is? I still haven't figured out yours. For some reason.
Besides the new Maiden releases?
Oh, well.
Besides that,
I can't remember.
I'm trying to remember what he had in his worst albums.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was certainly, or the other big, boiling point on me is that latest Machine Head, because.
Oh, don't go that rabbit hole. Don't go that. But to me, has to
go
be.
to my happy place. Go to my happy place.
To me, one of my bowling points is Anathema. The
recent Anathema stuff.
Oh God,
I know you don't like that, but
I hate that stuff. I hate that stuff. Up to the 5th album. Okay, after that, ew.
But that actually, now that brings me to this.
Oh God!
I'm going there now, Ricky. I'm going there now. Okay, maybe not as brutal.
Go.
Just to get an idea, James, is there one metal album that you absolutely do not like?
Probably. Usually if I just don't like something, I kind of just forget about it.
Very understandable.
Or maybe an album that you were so hyped about that when you listen to it, you were like, "What the hell is this?" It was a letdown.
Or
yes,
something
a letdown.
Along those lines. Yeah. Because there have been a few for me.
I'm trying. I genuinely cannot think of any. Maybe when what was that Megadeth album?
Super Collider?
Super Collider,
yeah. I'm with you on that. That's my least favorite Megadeth album.
It's not something that I like. I don't like hate. Like I don't like.
Yeah, I don't.
It's just like
after they were on such a roll with like System Has Failed through to 13. It was like, and this.
Endgame is one of my favorite Megadeth albums.
Mine too. So, I love Endgame so much. That
then what was it? Was it 13 was after that one?
Yeah.
And then Super Collider,
And then we got 13 was really good. Yeah.
And Dystopia.
Yeah. I like Dystopia. I think it was great.
I like Dystopia, but I don't know why. Just something about it didn't quite click with me. I guess I even mentioned this in my Megadeth album ranking video on my channel, that the problem that I had with Dystopia was you could tell it was mostly a Mustaine written album, because the first one with Kiko from Angra and Chris Adler of Lamb of God on there, and you didn't really get much shine from those two. Maybe on one song you got a little bit of Kiko moments in the soloing, like that classical style, but you didn't really get much of the Chris Adler style of drumming. It was mostly just the standard Megadeth stuff, which nothing wrong with that. I love that. But with Chris Adler, who's just so good at creating grooves, you didn't really get much of that. And I thought the album maybe could have helped if you had that, and it would have went much higher. I mean, it's a really good album. I'm not taking anything away from it.
Yeah.
It's just, I would have loved to have heard the individuality of Kiko and Chris on there. But who knows, maybe with the new one, now that you got Dirk Verburen from formerly of Soilwork on drums, and whoever this mysterious new bass player on the album is, it might be better. We'll see.
I swear, when they announce the base is going to be somebody we're not expecting. It's
Yeah.
going to be like a...
I remember at the
James
time people were thinking
Newsted.
it was Jason Newsted, but it's like then you hear reports that he can't play fast anymore. But then you hear it's like maybe he can. I don't think it's him though. That'd be a pipe dream though. But
Or maybe it's a newcomer.
a newcomer that's really good, or well, I remember Mustaine saying he's an established legendary bassist. I don't know. I mean, I know touring-wise, they got James Lomenzo back. Maybe it's him, and he's just playing with us. Which, James Lomenzo coming back would be pretty cool, because he was great on Unite Abominations and Endgame. Even though it's like you look at on paper, given where he came from, White Lion, and how Mustaine hated the glam stuff from back then, it seemed weird, but when you look at how he played, it was a good fit. And also, he was in Black Label Society for a while, too, so...
I mean, yeah.
It does kind of fit later, but in the 80s, you would think, yeah, that would never happen.
Who would have thought that?
Who would have thought that, though?
Who would have thought that? But,
yeah. My friend Rockerman in the Twitch chat, Andy, who's actually from my area, I'm the new Megadeth bass player. Hell, for all we know, James could be the Megadeth bass player. He's just not saying anything.
Cool.
That would be pretty cool.
He's not confirming nor deny it, so there's a possibility.
Yeah.
Booyah! But, with that, I think that's a good time to wrap up, since we gone 2 hours, which was absolutely awesome. So, fun overall conversation with you, man. And hopefully we can get you back on for a future episode, and hell, as a special, you and DK together.
Oh, God.
That would be so sweet. Because I know DK, once I tell DK about this, he'd be like, dude, you are the fucking man.
Bro.
Okay, Matt Riddle, you can calm down now.
Bro.
But yeah, that would be a cool, double feature. Both James McBain and Daniel DK together.
Yeah, man, that'd be sick.
That would be pretty fucking sweet. But before we wrap up, James, if you want to plug anything, like your social media and stuff, go ahead.
Yeah, follow. I mean, we're on all the social media. Hellripper on Facebook, Hellripper Metal on Instagram and Twitter, Hellripper Metal on Twitch, I believe. Yeah, and Hellripper on Bandcamp. Just all the usual places. Hellripper on Spotify. Just anywhere. On
Everywhere is Hellripper or Hellripper Metal. Absolutely.
Yeah, and look out for the new album, hopefully next year, which is almost recorded. So
awesome. Well, actually, that does remind me. Any plans for a potential another EP or even a full length for Lord Rot, possibly?
Yeah, I'm working on a lot of different projects with Lord Rot as well. It's just
awesome.
Very slow progress, and when I'm trying to focus on Hellripper, like, they kind of take a back seat. So it'll come eventually. I just don't know when.
Only time will tell.
Yeah,
exactly.
But the day it happens, damn well sure I'll be listening to it and doing a review on the channel. Since, oh my god, like, I've been noticing, like, whenever I've been doing some of my reviews as of late, I somehow attract the people from the bands. Like, when I reviewed the last Possessed album, Jeff Becerra came in and gave me props. Blood Red Throne, that was how I got in touch with their bassist Gunner and how we got him to be a guest for a future episode very soon. I don't know how I do it, but I managed to pull it off. Same with James. Like, I don't know how, but we made it happen.
Yeah.
I guess I just have some sort of
charm,
gift.
maybe.
Charm.
Charm.
Charm's only for the ladies. Gift is for everything else. But that's neither here nor there. Real quick, and then before we go, a reminder to those who watch the Shadow Cult stuff. Yeah, tonight we're doing podcasts where we're doing the top 10 bloodiest matches in WWE history. Myself, Scott, We Are Pro Wrestling, and hopefully Walter will be back. And by the way, I forgot to mention this too, James. Scott, my co-host on there, he's a musician himself. He plays mostly bass. And I told him about you and Hellripper, and he's a big fan of Midnight too. And he's like, "Oh, dude, I gotta check Hellripper out now."
That's cool,
So,
man.
so yeah, more and more fans coming your way thanks to me. Even if it's small, it's something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
So
every
yeah.
little thing adds up.
So everyone
Yes.
out there, right now, after this, go listen to some Hellripper. Because that's what I'm
Yes.
going to do after this, just to refresh my mind and like just go crazy.
Yeah, whether it be the debut, Black Arts and Alchemy, or The Affair of the Poisons.
Mm-hmm.
Check it out, and then we'll be getting some new stuff relatively soon, and I
Yes.
can't wait! So, but anyways, thank you guys who stuck around in the chat, even though it was later. Thank you guys for tuning in regardless. Now, who do I raid on Twitch? I gotta find who all is live currently that I would like to give a little shout out to. How about Jersey Girl Jenny, since she's a big metalhead and she's loves talking music. Let me double check here. Jenny or Jersey Girl Jenny. What am I? I could spell Jersey Girl Jenny. Oh, what the? I swear, Streamlabs, you really know how to irk me sometimes.
You know how to grind his gears.
Yes. There we go. Now it works. And thank you guys for stopping by. And once again, thank you, Mr. James McBain, for being on the show. And can't wait to get you on again for a future episode. But until next episode, which, give or take, is either going to be the interview with Gunner or it's the epic Black Sabbath ranking. And that.
Yeah. It's going to be crazy.
Yes. But anyways, horns high, and we will see you all relatively soon.